pain would always be that there's not dedicated funding or contractors are owed money and all of those things. In most of these projects that you've actually mentioned, even in the previous administration, you realize that 2-3 years before they actually exited, those projects were abandoned. I feel that we need to be able to find a way of, one, eschewing the bureaucracy, and also, whilst it's imperative that government is held accountable for the overall governance structure and how we do things in this country, I think that it's gotten to the point where we realize that a lot of individuals who find themselves in either as technocrats or experts are also not doing what they are meant to do. For instance, I mean, if you look at the issue of, let's say, street lighting or pedestrian crossing, traffic lights, the police being up and doing in terms of putting temporary measures to forestall some of these things that we have on our roads. It doesn't take the minister or the politician to do so. I think that every single individual who's been given a position of responsibility, if they were doing what they were basically mandated to do, we won't find ourselves in this situation. I'm quite disturbed with a certain phenomenon. So for instance, every year we read a budget. The budget is going to be read in the next couple of days. And you find out that there's allocations made for specific projects and monies are made available and everything. But we go beyond the budget and actually have a deficit. You understand? I struggle to understand how that is possible. So for instance, there's a road from maybe Teshi, La Scala to this point. It's in the budget, it's been captured, maybe 3-4 years down the stretch. Every single year, that particular road is captured in the budget. However, it overlaps another financial or budget year. And we still find ourselves struggling with deficits and all of those things. It points to a systemic failure. There's also a certain sense of bureaucracy where, for instance, contractors who have done work would have to go through a certain process to get paid, and then the projects are stalled, or even the stage gate process where at every point, for instance, contractors work 30% of the time they're going to be paid, 50% they're going to be paid, 70%, you understand? So it's meant to be something that is devoid of that bureaucracy. And then in this day and age, it's technology. So sometimes I struggle to understand why we find ourselves in that situation.
And we also struggle because the minute people demonstrate, then somehow we can fix everything.
No, but that is why I'm saying that every individual who has a position of responsibility, whilst the ultimate responsibility lies with government. For instance, traffic lights. Who is responsible for making sure that traffic lights are in full operation? It's not necessarily the minister. You understand? There's somebody who is responsible for that. Now, so whilst we are putting, and I'm happy, from my orientation, I'm happy that there's a certain wave of citizen, almost like agitation and advocacy. Now, we shouldn't stop with just the politician. We should also encourage the agitation to come from people who have been given positions of authority to work.
But respectfully, Eric, the politicians are the ones who make the promises. For example, in Teshi, the minister promised that in 6 days work will be done, and it's been 6 months. Right? So you have to hold them accountable because they're the ones making the promises.
You can look at it from that perspective. I have absolutely no problem with that. I'm saying that in this country, you can't find more than 2,000 politicians. And we are a country of 30 million people. So let's assume that all the politicians, let's just assume that all politicians are lousy. We are not doing what we are meant to do. There's another 30 million or almost 600 and 700,000 individuals who work within our public sector space. So my view is that we need to be able to also hold every individual accountable. And then even for us as citizens,
at the end of the day, all these fall under the purview of the minister. So if you hold the minister accountable, the minister will be able to identify who specifically should be held responsible.
With that. So even the issue of civic responsibility, even when you have put the footbridges there, or you put temporary measures or even safety measures there, we need to be able to get to the point where our people would actually use it.
Well, let's put the bridges there.
No, but I'm not saying that we shouldn't.
Okay, so let's wrap you up.
So it is imperative. And then I would have to say this. In the next few days, government has actually put together a comprehensive work plan to deal with our infrastructure issues. Among some of the things that we are going to do is the Tema motorway, about 50 or so bridges that are in some kind of disrepair. The poor state of our inner city road network, for instance, so that, of course, there's going to be some engagement with the citizenry to be able to deal with that. So right after the budget, that work plan would actually be
so we're waiting for the budget to be read.
Oh, no, the budget
because
is being
the problem was always there.
The budget is being read on Thursday.
So we're still waiting. You see, I made that point earlier today.
No, the budget
this problem was always there. We're waiting for the president to announce it before.
No.
Okay.
No, what I'm saying is that as part of the comprehensive plan to deal with our infrastructure issues, I mean, work has already been done. Whilst we speak.
Well, we look forward to it.
After the region of the budget, that particular plan will be adored. And I'm saying that the Tema motorway, about 50 or so bridges, the poor state of our inner city roads especially, so we're dealing with Teshi, various parts of the city, Kumasi, and all of those.
Thank you.
We look forward to hearing from the finance minister on that.
Kofi Adams, National Council of the NDC. Good morning. How are you?
I'm well, good morning.
Good. We're discussing
Sorry for coming in late. Unexpected traffic. I think what exactly Eric has been talking about, poor nature of our roads, huge potholes.
Let me first tell you the discussion we're having before you get on. Kofi Adams, calm down.
So I'm sorry for
we're discussing our roads. Of course, you heard what happened at the Medina-Denton highway, and of course, residents at the Teshi Spintex Road also appealing to their MP over the stalled project that they want fixed regarding their roads. So we'll take your comments on that now.
I think you gave some indication of what you want us to do, and if I heard the report, they were talking about the road has been abandoned for 10 years. But if you follow the story, even itself, you realize that can be entirely true, because if you look at the date the contract was awarded and work that has happened on the road, including what happened in 2016, you clearly cannot be calculating 10 years from that time. It is as a result of desire of government, or after a change of government, there was the intent to audit projects. And so a number of projects were stalled. So it is not just the Teshi road, but all over the country. Roads were stalled. You remember when His Excellency the President went to Jasikan when he was visiting the northern part of Volta, the OT demarcated zone, and he got to Jasikan, and the natives there were complaining about the bad nature of the Jasikan to Hohwe road, and he called his minister. His minister admitted that when we came to power, you asked that like all projects be stalled for some kind of investigations. We have done investigations and we found out that there is nothing wrong with the road leader and the award of that contract, and that soon, like they told the Teshi people, soon, from the time the president visited. I just left Jasikan on Saturday. We were there for Bueman Secondary School third speech and prize giving day. Nothing is happening on the road. It's even gotten worse. The soon has not happened. So it is not even just Teshi. And that's why many of us wonder why infrastructure development, something that affects the people positively, something that even affects the nation positively, the government will just so decide that we are suspending work, spending so much time doing investigations, and for almost 2 years, you are not done with investigations.
But Kofi Adams, respectfully, this issue
some of
didn't
these
start with
projects
this
were even
government,
stalled
right?
before you left power.
This isn't a new problem. Our roads are not something new.
I'm saying that roads, you cannot complete a road project in a year. That is why payment is done in phases. The own story that you did, the minister admitted when he said work was going to start in June then, he indicated how much money has been paid the contractor. That's about 35% has been paid. The work that the contractor says he has done is about 45% of the work that he's expected to do. And the contractor indicated that if he got his certificates that he submitted in later part of 2016 on it, he could get back to work. And he was promised. So it is the honoring of the certificates. We don't expect that if the project is maybe a 60 million Ghana cedi project, you pay all the 60 million. We don't do that. Sometimes you make some advance payment, they do it, and when they present certificate, the consultant sign a certificate, then payment is prepared, then the Ministry of Finance release funds for the sector ministry to pay them. That's how they do. But if you haven't done that payment, it will be very difficult for the contractor to return to site. And sometimes delay should not be more than 2 years. So the delay is not a normal delay. It's not a normal delay of I have presented certificate and I am waiting for that to happen. It is because government had a policy that stop all projects we want to go into and investigate them. That is what has caused all this mess. Whilst to some extent you will say that some technocrats may not also be bringing some information to the attention of the political heads, the political head remains the political head. And it's like, you don't blame the cattle when they go destroying somebody's farms. You have to hold the herdsman responsible. So the political head there is a herdsman. That's why you have many more facilities at your disposal than that other person who is working.
But why haven't we had politicians prioritize our roads all these decades? I mean, we're talking about 20, 30 years. We're always talking about our roads. It seems as though it's not a priority to both parties. It's not just one.
I think it's been a priority. It's not like it's the resource. If you realize how much we are able to raise in terms of revenue locally until the injection of oil into our economy, we were really doing very little.
But we pay our tolls, especially, let's say the Tama Road, for example. If I'm paying my toll, at least you can fix the pothole.
We've not even had anyone come out to say it's an issue of resources.
Yeah.
That is where I would want the utilization of resource. For example, if we are paying toll for using a road, that money must be put in the fund for maintaining those roads. I can't pay toll. I use the motorway every day. I can't pay toll only to come and get an accident on the road because the road that is being tolled, that I have paid toll for, is not being maintained. That money is collected for me on the motorway that I'm paying and is being used to do something else. That for me is wrong. So we must make sure that we utilize funds that we raise from a particular source for what it is intended for. You see, it's not only even in the roads. Go to the education sector and see how we are utilizing GET fund now. The government have adopted a policy of capping many funds. And so they take so much away from these institutions and direct it into something else. We are using, GET fund was established primarily to support infrastructural development. Now we have capped it, taking so much from GET fund to even pay for allowances and so on and so forth. And so it is affecting infrastructural development in our educational sector. So government must sit down and rethink its policies in terms of utilization of funds and see how it has not helped and how far it has helped. I think that it hasn't helped so much.
Perfect.
So
we'll end you here and go for a quick break.
You mentioned issues of the roads minister, you know, in respect of the Jasikan road, which nothing was done. And then we do know of what happened in the Teshi or on the Teji stretch of road where a promise was made somewhere in June, and 6 months later nothing was done. Now a promise has been made in respect of the dental footbridges and the traffic lights. Are we even hopeful for anything to be done from this same roads minister who made that promise? And not forgetting the fact that no promise at all has been made for the Tema motorway. We look for it to change. Stay tuned. This is Breakfast Daily. We'll be right back.
City TV is live. City TV is a free-to-air digital channel. On a digital TV, please press menu on your remote control and run a news search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a multi-TV digibox. Tune into City TV and experience your world. City TV, it's your world.
It's still Breakfast Daily right here on City TV, and we are joined by Amoako, Twum, he's a government spokesperson, and not forgetting Kofi Adams, who's the national organizer of the NDC. Earlier we spoke about matters relating to roads. Quite a few roads were mentioned, and it seems there's a lot of work to be done in this country by way of road and general road safety. Yeah. But now we move on to free SHS.
Right? Today's the first day for those who are part of the gold track. So it says here, I'm reading from the Finder page 2, first-year students under the double track free senior high school system who were placed on the gold track will start school today. About 196,000 first-year students are expected to enroll in the boarding and day school system starting from today. So we'll just touch on that, and of course we wish them all the best of luck. I think we'll start with you, Eric. Yes. Are they going to have better infrastructure? What should they be looking forward to? And I think I get more teachers as well.
Well, so to start with, I think that the issue to do with education is extremely important. In the last few days, government has actually announced that there's going to be an injection of 1.5 billion Ghana cedis in infrastructure projects in our education sector, coming from the GET fund. Apart from that, I think that there's an opportunity for young people who hitherto wouldn't have had an opportunity to also get that sort of opportunity that we also got. So like we're talking about first day at school and everything. I remember when I went to Form 1, 1987, I was 10. And again, it was extremely tough. Some of the things that we are talking about today existed at the time. But look at me here, I'm sitting here today. That's not to say that it's not government's responsibility to deal with the issues in our education sector. But the truth of the matter is that it's also imperative that everybody gets an opportunity. Now, how best can we even distribute or have an equitable distribution of the resources that we have as a country? For me, I think that the best way to do that is through giving an opportunity for everybody, regardless of where you find yourself, an education. So it's something that is reassuring, it's refreshing, and I feel that as we go along and we're able to up the ante in terms of the infrastructure, the quality, and everything, then we would have the benefits as we go along. Now, when it comes to investment in education, sometimes a lot of people would discount it because you don't feel the net effect immediately. So, for instance, we're talking about roads and infrastructure, which is justified. Education is also extremely important, but unfortunately, because you get maybe a 5-10 year return in terms of the ripple effect, sometimes it becomes almost like it's not the most important thing, but it is extremely important.
Okay. But education shouldn't be at the cost of everything else, right?
No, but the thing is that, I mean, Dziffa, it's important that we sometimes contextualize our conversations. So we are still a lower middle income economy. There is always going to be competition for resources. You understand? So there's basically limited resources in terms of what we want to do. So, listen, in the last couple of days, there's been a midterm elections in America. If you look at what they talk about, the individuals talk about, they speak about the same things that we complain about. I see sometimes there's imperative that we look at it from that perspective. Citizens would always demand more from their government. You understand? So, whilst we have limited resources, it's also key to look at it from a perspective that, listen, Ghana has moved forward, regardless of which political party has been in power. The Ghana that I knew 25 years ago is not the same Ghana today. People can have all sort of divergent views and all of those things. But we've come a long way. Our democratic dispensation, we've increased our infrastructure in a certain way. We still have challenges. But now, we can't discount everything that we've done as a people by virtue of the fact that we still find pockets of challenges.
Finally, the Vice President has indeed announced that when, for instance, the students come home for vacation, there's going to be some form of online teaching. So students can go on the internet and then they'll select the best teachers at the various secondary schools to be teaching them the various subjects. So such tutorship will be available free online for the students. So this has been put in place. Now, the problem this might cause is that there are hundreds of thousands of secondary school students who do not have access to the internet. They will not have access to this being taught them. And then the education system will deem this taught. So this might further create a gap between those exposed, for want of a better word, and those not exposed to such modern technology.
Like, you see, it's also key that we disabuse our minds as to the length of time that the students are going to be at home. You see, so I think that we've boxed ourselves into this thought. If you look at the entire academic year, the students are going to be at home. Now, these are 2 semesters instead of the 3 terms. Just 18 days more. That's it. So all these things are complementary. And Kofi would know. When we were in school, we were going to vacation classes.
No, I'm saying your complementary measure is creating a further distance between those who are exposed to the technology and those who are not.
I disagree. Okay. So there are other things. You understand? So, for instance, as a student, there's also an individual responsibility to come home and study. Now, we've created this thing in our minds that the students are going to stay at home for a very long time. So, and it feeds into a certain propaganda. Okay. And I'm saying that if you look at it in a year, the students are going to be at home just 18 days more. However, the contact hours, when school used to start from 8 to 2, has actually also been increased. So as we speak today, even in the school today, the contact hours has increased. Okay. You understand? So for me, I think that sometimes we need to move away from the politics of it and come to the real crass of the matter.
I was actually not talking about the length, the duration they stay at home, but we'll come back to you.
No, that is why I am...
I
am saying that
we
can do the politics, but the reality is on the ground. The reality on the ground is that the students today have more contact.
Okay, thank you.
And then this whole perception that they are staying at home for such a long time is by virtue of the fact that
we're talking about the Vice President's internet intervention. What do you have to say about
internet and all of those things? Those are complementary things.
Thank you very much.
Are going to extra classes and all of those things.
Thank you.
This is something that has been done from time immemorial.
Thank you.
The more government spokespersons try to defend this mess, the more the mess is exposed. Let's ask ourselves, why don't we keep security persons at post for a certain long period and we ask them to go on some breaks? We do so because certain other factors will set in if you allow one person to be at post for such a long time. Those breaks, those short breaks that they take, enables them to prepare and refresh themselves for even further work. So the short vacations that they have in between terms brings them to a different environment. They still are in contact with learning. They change slightly for a short period, maybe 18 days holidays, they are back in school, or 30 days holidays, they are back in school. Now you have lumped all the holidays together and extended the stay away from study for a longer period at once. A lot can happen in that period. And policymakers must factor that in their thinking. They shouldn't just think that, oh, we counted, they used to have 3 holidays. If you added that up, it gave you maybe 60-something days. So we are only adding 18 more days to it. It is not broken into pieces.
But isn't that a fair price to pay for all children to get free education?
See, the best would have been not to cap the Get Fund capping that they did and make resources available to them to continue the infrastructural development like the previous administration did in 2010 when we inherited the 4-year SHS and it was going to lead to demand for more dormitories, more classrooms. President Mills then put various persons together, including banks, to raise resources, to add facilities to schools to be able to contain that situation. You have this intention, then you come and what you did was to cap institutions that will make funds available for infrastructural development to respond to the needs that you are putting. And the worst part, whilst Dr. Baumia is very good at launching all kinds of initiatives that sometimes you sit in the office and think that it's going to work so well, but it's not working on the ground. As we speak now, the gold track students who are reporting, we do not have enough teachers for them.
It's not true.
They made a promise to the teachers who are taking the green track that they were going to be hired for a 50 cedi per student to do the gold track teaching. That has not happened. That hiring hasn't happened.
So far, we've not heard any report from any of the secondary schools that they are lacking teachers.
It is not true. I mean, last week the head of teachers.
You come in when he's.
It's not true. We are parents. We have kids in schools that we are taking care of. So they report to us daily. We have friends. We have mates. Some of whom are headmasters. Some are assistant headmasters, some are heads of departments, and so on and so forth, that we engage. If you continue to, anytime issues are raised, you say, oh, it is not true, or maybe you haven't heard. That doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. There are some schools, only 2 teachers are available, but I won't mention the schools.
How do we verify this information?
Only 2. If you want, after the program, I'll tell you, then you can take your news people to go and check. Only 2. For the good, because proper planning and coordination was not put into how to get teachers for the 2 track, and the promise of paying them 50 cedi per student for a teacher has not happened, and now they are being forced that go and teach without that offer. Meanwhile, they are not supposed to be doing that. They have their track to take care. So there's a huge problem there that government should be looking at dealing with. They haven't dealt with that.
It is a huge problem that we all want to solve as a nation, right? You can just mention your school too.
And I'm saying, I will do so to you, right? Because we know how, sorry to say, this government has victimized a lot of persons that have spoken about the challenges that they confront as far as this system is concerned. You remember the Osu Presby head who was a member of the implementation committee when he decided to get parents to support. What happened to him? Another one in the eastern region. What happened to him? So now, when people are sharing even information with you, they are careful. I'm not surprised that you are not hearing some of this. But they are very serious challenges. But for education, no matter what it takes, let's make sure that we invest into it and give our children the right form of education. The negative effect will not be felt immediately, like he's saying, that when you are investing in education, sometimes it's not seen immediately. The same way, the negative effect of what you are doing would not be seen immediately.
But it's a great step to give opportunities for all. Right?
You see, when you are giving opportunity for all, the opportunity for all should educate them better.
Okay, the quality.
Like Professor Lumumba keeps saying, that we are putting people in schools that we will not, the policymakers will not put their children in. First and foremost, ask how many of these policymakers have placed their children under those same systems that
are both of your children in the GOAT track? No?
My children are not.
Why?
Are not in it. And they are not in because I really do not have confidence in what is happening. They are not in.
Okay.
Well, that's a personal.
They are not. They are not in.
Let's move on.
When they come one after the other, ask them. You remember President Rawlings? He pushed strongly the JHS systems and then the SS system. And one thing I have respected President Rawlings for was putting his kids through the same process and then the same schools. Achimota School, Wesley Girls, that's how they all went through. It was when they reached a certain age and political pressure and machinations and the rest.
Okay, we'll just read some messages but let's take
It's interesting to know that GIS is a private, is a government school. But you see, let me tell you something. Let me say this. I think that we can discount the free SHS all we want. For me, I am encouraged by the fact that with the introduction of any new policy, you would always have challenges. But this government is committed to doing that. 8,000 and over teachers have been employed to support the free SHS sector. As I said to you, the GET fund that he's talking about, 1.5 billion Ghana cedis has actually been dedicated to improve the infrastructure in our education sector.
Okay. I don't want us to stretch this education issue, because there's a very important story that I want us to touch on.
He can discount that. But I always say that there are people, generations of families in my village in Abompe, where if you finish JHS, or you finished, at that time, they used to call them Form 4, Stand 7, that's it. Because there's absolutely no inclination that you'll be able to further
even afford
education.
it.
We cannot have a system where close to 40% of all the people that go through our basic education system truncate the education because they cannot afford it. So let's deal with the issue. Let's deal with the challenges. But you see,
Eric, I want us to move on to another story. No, we stretched this issue too long. Eric, thank you.
Every single challenge that we have in our education sector is as a result of the free SHS. It's not the case.
It's like claiming that every success is as a result of
a few messages we have here. Good morning.
Thank you. We do have to read some of the messages. Kofi,
and the message here says, good morning. It's not only roads that are not well managed. Everything in our country has to be done by our president. Let's vote MC and DC. So that's what your issue is. This coming from Babs in Ashoma Estate. Another message here from Sam Bacha. Someone guest says, indeed, President Akua and NPP has work to do to meet the demands of the good people of Ghana, so we don't have time to react to Mahama, but thank God for using backbang. Okay.
Yeah, and there's a message
to
here
reply about bed bugs. Anyway, so that's what he has to say.
I am Suleiman says, Ghana is a country without vision. We the citizens need to push our MPs and government to put out plans for the country so that every government that will follow will put the interest of the country first. So he's talking about putting the development of the country first. This is Ghana for us. Ghanaian politicians should pray. Okay, they whatever in opposition, because they seem to know the truth only when they are in power. When they are not in power. Anyway, I'm going to my farm. God bless Ghana. There's another one. Jagos from Islam says, I'm not surprised if mortuary workers decide to go on strike, because I think their condition of service is not good at all. Therefore, they need to be treated well. So the health minister must see to their demands before things get worse.
Okay, we'll read one final message. Abdul Fattah is writing from Wa. And it says, please, I'm highly disappointed in the government for always playing politics with our educational sectors. It's now clear this government is super incompetent. They should try and complete the Mahama Community Day schools across the country and stop the negative propaganda peddling. So That's what he has to say in a nutshell. Thank you very much, Abdul Fattah, and good morning to the good people of Wa. Now we'll move on to our next story, reading from tzynewsroom.com, which says, "I'll only respond to presidential candidates, not aspirants." Nana Addo has this to say. Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, President of the Republic, says, or what he says, does not give a hoot about criticisms from presidential aspirants, ostensibly in reference to criticisms from presidential hopefuls of the opposition NDC. Akufo-Addo has said he will only respond to criticisms from a presidential candidate, not an aspirant. So I'm just going to quote briefly what he says here. He says, "I'm sure you have seen and heard some of the presidential aspirants of leading opposition party, or of the leading opposition party, taking jabs at my government in order ostensibly to prop up their campaigns. And whilst at it, they are desperately trying to get me to respond to them. Let me state here and now, for the record, that President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo will not respond to presidential aspirants. He will respond to presidential candidates after they have been duly elected by their parties." I'll start with you, Kofi Adams, on this one.
Sure, the president has no response. If he had a response, he will deliver it, irrespective of who is saying it, whether it is Eric, whether it is you, Willie, or whether it is Dziffa who is saying it, or me. He will respond if he has. But truly speaking, he has no response. Clearly, when his various voices of his and that of his vice president is played prior to the 2016 elections to him, I'm sure he himself wonder whether he did say all the things that have been played for him. So truly he has no response. And even in government, they continue to make very serious promises. Promises that are not happening and they keep changing. For example, a president who drove with all our resources to a Kofi to go and cut sword for one district, one factory, and promised that it was going to start very soon. And today the place has been abandoned. How do you expect that president to respond to? Now they say they are accrediting. Now building one, they say one factory has turned to accreditation. Oh, we are accrediting. If you ask Honorable Kojo Oponkroma, he say we have accredited this number of factories. It means factories that are existing already, they are giving them signage that one they say. So how is the president going to respond?
It's a bit more than a signage.
How is the president going to respond to increases in fuel prices when he criticizes him? So if he tells you that he's waiting for flag bearer, he is only thinking that he's buying time, that there will be no flag bearer. Surely there will be flag bearer very soon. So it's like refusing to take your medication or being put on life support because you think like you don't want. The day the life support is taken off you, we will see that.
But the statement is not much different from the former president, who said that, you know, the current president and his vice, Baumia, they are not close to the presidency at all. So
no, they shouldn't be. It's completely different.
What's the difference?
The response was to the call of an incompetence. You see, there's a difference. I haven't hosted a program before, or maybe I haven't sat as a panel member before. I can criticize a panel member or a panelist, or I can criticize a host for the way and manner he or she is hosting the program. But I am not placed to call the host or the hostess or a panel member or a panelist incompetent when I haven't done so. But I can criticize where you haven't done it, and then you stand outside there and call the person incompetent for taking a particular decision that you come today, and then you see even worst case situation. Then you realize that maybe, just maybe, you wouldn't have called a person incompetent if you knew. Maybe President Kufo. That's why if you watch, presidents, when they are speaking, when they are criticizing, they have a way they criticize. If you watch a fellow media person who has done what you are doing, when they are criticizing, they have a way they criticize. So President Mahama was not talking about criticism, that he will not respond to it, but he was referring to calling and tagging someone incompetent.
Okay.
Fantastic.
You need to be qualified to be able to call somebody incompetent.
Fantastic.
Having taken, and these are two different things. But I want to assure President Nana Danko Akufo-Addo that if he says he's waiting for flag bearer before he will respond, very soon we will have a flag bearer.
Because he needs to make sure who he's responding
Maybe
to.
He will say he is waiting for electoral commission for filing at electoral commission to happen.
No, but to be fair, there are quite a lot of aspirants, so he needs to be sure who to respond to.
We wish him well in his excuses.
And there's just one aspirant going after the president.
Exactly.
We wish him well in his excuses. The excuses will end very soon.
Thank you, Kofi.
Double standards. I always say that our politics should be anchored in values and principles. But he just displayed a classic example of double standards here. But that is fine. You see, I'm happy that the president is keeping his eye on the ball and not being distracted by naysayers and people who had also been given an opportunity to run this country. They had stewardship of this country. And the good people of this country have already gone ahead and placed a verdict on them as to the kind of things that they bequeath to these people. So I'm happy that the president is focusing on his mandate. His core mandate is to govern and to make sure that all the things that were said prior to the elections and the things that are in place are done so that it will bring relief to the good people of this country. So this is politics back and forth in terms of saying this and trying to even create a caricature out of the president, for instance, and because they did that in opposition. It didn't wash. So the plethora of things that they said at the president prior to even the elections, and they're still saying today, if I were them, I would focus on preferring alternatives. You see, once we have a conversation amongst NPP, NDC, I believe strongly that the conversation should come to the point of, okay, in education, this is what we did.
But they do give alternatives. Kofi Adams today has given alternatives.
What is the alternative? You see?
In respect of even the educational sector.
No. Anytime we have this conversation, there's a certain, in an Akan language, there's this thing that they call or to wait, we are all the same, but this is not the same. Let me tell you something. If you like, go and take the economy. Take the NDC's own budget and its own projections from 2014. Just don't go too further back. 2014, 2015, 2016. Compare it to President Akufo-Addo's 2017. Compare all the various indices, inflation, interest rate, policy rate, GDP, trade, balances. All of those things points to an economy that has been better managed than that of the NDC. Listen, under your watch, the manufacturing sector was growing at negatives. As we speak, in 2017, the manufacturing sector grew at 17%. Now, you can discount it. And you see, this is not an attempt to say that, oh, all the complaints or the fact that there are no challenges in the system. But any given day, we are more than happy to wait for their flag bearer and compare. Now, he's talking about education. You see, and this perception that there's some schools that were meant to be built by...
You're already assuming who the flag bearer is.
Listen.
Yeah.
There are some schools,
we still don't have a flag bearer.
There are some schools that were meant to be built under the E-block that has been abandoned. That is not the case. You see, I can ask him. They used to claim in opposition that there's 123 schools. And I'm glad that you guys are a media house. There are 123 schools that are being built that are at various stages of completion. Next time, I'm always say on a Monday, please go and put your reporters out there and see if you can find this 123 schools.
Thank you, Eric. We do have to wrap you up.
18 of these schools have been completed by the President Akufo-Addo administration.
Thank you, Eric.
18 new ones have been added to it.
Thank you.
So this propaganda, you see, and the fact of the matter
Eric,
is that there are people in this country who are attending those schools.
Thank you.
There are people of this country who are benefiting from the policies of listen, electricity.
Okay, we've listened enough. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Electricity prices have gone down. Utility prices have gone down.
Thank you. Allegedly, let's
but you can it reflects. It reflects on you.
Your final words.
You see, there is no way the NDC will say Yeni MPP, Yambro Pepe. No way. We are way from them.
Maybe
talking about
maybe they like cognac. They like cognac.
Way better. That's why Ghanaians today are complaining. Teachers are demonstrating and apologizing to President Mahama.
They were still complaining.
And I'm saying that they said they were deceived. They were demonstrating based on the deception. Now they have seen the truth.
Okay,
talking about economic performance.
Okay.
It is only as a result of the additions of oil. You see, the FPSO that got damaged in the later part of 2014, which was fixed around the end of 2016, started working and more oil.
Well, it's been added. That may not affect
because of
the manufacturing industry.
Thank you. Even in the manufacturing industry. Okay, thank you. National Organizer, NDC, and Erica Marco Twum is a government spokesperson. Of course, to you for being with us.
I'm hearing rumors that Kofi Adams might be, if former President Mahama were to win the flag bearership, Kofi Adams might be running mate.
Really?
Yeah, that's what
is that why you're
so stay tuned to BreakfastDaily.
I don't want any news.
Stay tuned to BreakfastDaily. Do not go anywhere.
We'll be back.
Lies in the eyes of the beholder, and at Second Image, getting that beauty is our priority, with services for facials for spots and wrinkles, body treatment for body shaping and slimming, hairstyling for bridal dressing, body massage, manicure and pedicure, artificial nail extensions, guarantees you that perfect body and skin. Second Image also offers training for students in hairdressing, beauty therapy and fashion, and design up to HND level. Our course duration ranges from 2 to 6 weeks for short courses, or up to 2 years. Second Image also runs a special foundation program for JHS leavers in hair and beauty therapy, dressmaking and electronics. Contact us now on 0243-331-999 or 0302-221-376. Or you can locate Second Image next to Adamaka Police Station, Kwame Nkrumah Avenue, or visit us at secondimagegana.com. Admissions run throughout the year. Second Image gives you a new image. Second Image. Be empowered to succeed.
City TV is live. City TV is a free-to-air digital channel. On a digital TV, please press menu on your remote control and run a news search on your TV. Take note that without an antenna, you cannot access City TV on your television. City TV can be accessed on a multi-TV digibox. Tune into City TV and experience your world. City TV. It's your world. It's inspiration. It's the word. The teachings.
The test of life is what you do with power, and is what you do with blessing. The test of life is what you do with favor. The test of life is what you do with promotion. Whether it's political, economic, financial, or spiritual, the test of life is what you do with the blessing and with power and with resources.
Tune in to Voice of Inspiration with Archbishop Duncan Williams every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. on City TV.
Pendukulu memoya oyinwele Pendukulu me nkosiyam Pindu kulume tikondi mamele Pindu kulume nkosia Hallelujah, we come to worship. Jesus, we crown you. We come to worship you. Lift your name on high. We 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 lift your name on high. Hallelujah. We come to worship you and lift your name on high. Jesus, we crown you. We come to worship you and lift your name on high. We lift your name. We lift you on high. We lift your name on high. Jesus, in this nation, we lift your name. Oh, on high. We lift Jesus, we lift your name on high. Yeah, we lift your name on high. We lift your name on high. We lift your name on high. High above every challenge. We lift your name, Jesus, on high. So we lift your name high. We lift your name high. We lift your name higher. We lift your name higher. Jesus, we lift your name higher. We lift your name higher. We lift your name higher. We lift you, we lift you, we lift you. In this nation of Ghana, we lift your name higher. We lift your name higher. We declare your rulership and lordship in this nation. We lift you up, we lift you up, we lift you up, Jesus. Yeah, we lift your name higher. 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 So we lift your name on high. We lift your name on high. We lift your name, Jesus. We lift your name, Jesus. We lift your name, we lift your name.
Hi, this is Patrick Duncan, and you are watching Breakfast Daily on City TV.
Manifest your glory as we come before your presence. Hello, everybody. This is Enyanyam. Keep watching CCTV Breakfast Daily.
What's up? My name is DKB. As you know, Ghana is a third world country. we are a poor country trying to get to middle income status. So, of course, food security is low and nutritional deficiency is high. But if you want your breakfast on a daily, keep watching Breakfast Daily. We'll give you a breakfast every day. As I talk right now, I've had my Unapo.
I'm Jennifer Ajaman, corporate trainer and life coach. Keep watching Breakfast Daily only on City TV.
Okay, welcome back. It's still Breakfast Daily right here on City TV. Remember to join us with the hashtag Breakfast Daily on all social media platforms. So apart from the hashtag, you can send us messages via WhatsApp on 0550-585-832. Let's just see. Anyway, I've seen quite a few of your messages in respect of the news review that we just had. We will find time and respond to them or read same accordingly. In the meantime, I've been joined by Kofi Kakari. Good morning.
Good morning, sir.
So Kofi Kakari is the young man who's been singing wonderfully throughout, and I think it's just amazing that young people are filled with the spirit and they decide to do exactly what you do. How long have you been doing this for?
I've been doing this since 2006. I released the first single, Mensah. Yeah, and it received very good airplay in the capital and across the nation. And then afterwards, I received a song I sang, We Bow Down and Worship Yahweh. So I released that, I think, 2013, 14, thereabout.
You're a superstar, right? Like in the... I'm serious. Like, you're a superstar. Like almost every, every church you go to, and before they start their worship, or praise and worship, they'll usually start with that particular song. How does that make you feel?
Well, it's quite humbling. I mean, to know that a young man from Ghana can be chosen by God, giving such a song to travel the nations of the world is really humbling. And at the same time, I mean, it's exciting, to know that God is capable of doing anything with anybody, anywhere.
So between Mensah and We Bow Down and Worship,
yes.
What's been your life like?
Yes,
Let's get into your personal life.
Yes, I've been doing a lot of ministration. I minister in song in a lot of churches across the nation. And I do private business too on the side, but I'm mostly a minister. I'm first of all a man of God, and then I do business on the side.
Wow. And was this calling always there? Was he always eating you, or it came subsequently in life?
I think that there was a knowing, but I think I was a bit adamant. I really wanted to do the business, make money and all, but I mean, the best job to do for me is to work for God.
And at which age did the knowing manifest into the doing?
I think after uni.
After uni, where?
Yes, here in Accra.
Wow.
I think that for the calling, I mean, it started way back St. Augustine's College. I started singing very early. I was in Takrady, that's where I was born, but moved to St. Augustine's College, joined an a cappella group, Young Sparrows. So that's where the ministry really started. We started moving from house to house ministering, before everybody went to sleep.
St. Augustine is a Catholic school, so was it like a form of Catholic-related administration?
No. I mean, we were
been charismatic before.
Yes.
Okay.
So, I mean, it was just a collective of people from all walks of life, from
Fantastic.
Different churches and all. Yeah, so that's what we did. And then to uni, served in the choir, and then afterwards, started mainstream, putting out songs, ministering at churches. And I served, under Neo Kind too for a while.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. So now, professionally, you're going to continue this, and maybe you're going to do both still, business and, song administration.
Yeah. I think that eventually the administration takes over. That's the core. That's the core. Yeah. So right now I'm just listening to the voice of God. I'm sure at a point it will be full time. I mean, it is full time. It's not like this is what I do. This is what I do. So let me say it. I do the business on the side, but this is what I really do, and I love to do this. Yeah.
Fantastic. So what's been your hugest influence in your life to push you to this level?
I think that first of all is the joy to serve the Lord. To do something for God. It's been a huge inspiration, because sometimes people think that they can keep their gifts to themselves, do what they please with it. But it was given to us by God, and the best thing to do is to serve Him with it. So, I mean, that's one of the places where the inspiration comes from, and also from the fact that we live in a country where people love God, you know, and when there's that expectation from the hearts of men, I mean, the demand is placed on people who are gifted, you know, to lift up worship, and people buy into it. So that also inspires me. The mere fact that there's that need, that demand, people want to know God, they want to worship and love Him more, it also inspires me to write, And then I think a couple of people have been inspirational in my life, Neil Kai, you know, Koda, Don Moen, you know, and the likes, yeah.
So you more or less grew up in the worship listening to these people?
Yes.
And what's the relationship between you and Neil Kai?
Oh, he's my father. He's like a father to me. So like most of the exposure I received initially when I started, he gave me that opportunity.
So the first song you ever did,
yes,
was which one?
Was Mawonsado with Koda.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm saying, like, when putting together that song, was it in your mind that I'm going to sing this in a particular church, or was it in your mind that I'm going to make sure the song gets to the world?
No. You know, I just thought, this is what God is giving me, my small corner, doing my small thing. I didn't have any idea God was going to take it and amplify it. You know, so it wasn't I didn't write it with the mindset that I was going everywhere with it. No, I thought, okay, you know what, this is my little gift. You know, take it in. And like the boy with the 5 loaves of bread and 2 fish, God just took the thing and multiplied it. Yeah, you know.
Like 5,000 people.
And
now you're reaching, like, you reached over 5 million.
Surely, it's just
even
amazing.
More than that.
It's just amazing.
Wow. Well, now I want to get into your performances, you know, at these various places. Where would you say is the most touching performance you've had since you started?
You know, I think that, let me say, I choose not to say performance, you know, because what we do is not for show.
Fantastic.
Yes, we minister the Spirit of God. So I would say that everywhere I've visited, I wouldn't choose one out of a lot, because every time God shows up in a different way, in a different manner, you can never put God in a box. Yeah, that's right. So wherever we get to, we lift up our voices, the Spirit of the Lord moves, and we give glory to God.
Wow. Now, there have been, or what would be your response then to business, music business as opposed to ministration, or church business as opposed to ministration? Because there are some people, or many people walking around in the country and beyond, who feel like, you know, the church is now a business. The church is now a business. What's your response to that?
I think that it's a matter of perspective. You see, some people would see it as a business, others wouldn't. It depends on where you look at it from. But in my perspective, in my opinion, I think that the church is not a business. It should not be a business. You know, it's not supposed to be a business. It's supposed to be, you know, purely spiritual, where we receive from God and we give to the world. You know, but I mean, if in the course of doing that, certain business, you know, things come out, things for some people, but for me, I think it shouldn't be. Church should purely be.
So I'm now touching on your administration part. Okay, I'm tapping into your calling to let God speak to me into the rest of the world. Okay, so how does a person, you know, discern that? Am I going to a business entity, or I'm going to a place ordained by God for worship, or to serve Him, or to